with at least 100 passes. The cover of the Pittsburgh Tribune featuring Big Ben, the Big Hurt. Pittsburgh still got the win in St. Louis, 12-6. They are now 2-1. So here's the Steelers' schedule over the next 8 weeks.
Yes, that's what I was looking for.
Ravens, I have it right here for you. At Chargers, versus Cardinals, at Chiefs, versus the Bengals, Raiders, Browns, and then a bye. Can the Steelers make the playoffs with Ben out 4 to 6 weeks, Stephen A? And I'll give you this.
They can. Thank you so much.
Yep.
They can, Skip Bayless, but they're in trouble. Here's why. Cincinnati is running away in the regular season. That was a spectacular performance by A.J. Green yesterday. We know this.
Andy Dalton was pretty good.
Andy Dalton was pretty good, and Flacco and those boys weren't able to finish the deal.
Nope.
He just doesn't have enough weapons, even though that bad man Steve Smith did show up. He was bad yesterday in a very good way.
Yeah.
Having said all of that, when I look at the Steelers' schedule right now, I'm thinking about a Michael Vick, who had the worst QBR in the NFL last year for any quarterback that threw at least 100 passes. And I'm thinking about the Steelers' schedule. You got a desperate Ravens team who's on the brink if their season is not over already. I'm not sold on the Chargers, but that is on the road as opposed to at home. Then you've got the Cardinals, who may be some folks' Super Bowl pick, to be quite honest with you, because they're that big time.
Sure.
Especially with Carson Palmer as your quarterback. I think their record is now 16 or 17-2 when he's a starter in the Bruce era. All right, so you've got that, and then you've got the Chiefs on the road. So over those next 4 games, I anticipate that the Steelers will lose at least 2 of those games. Since it's 2 of those games, and they're, 2-1 right now, they would be 4-3 heading into week 8. And that is where my concern lies, because I think by that time, it's entirely plausible that the Cincinnati Bengals can end up being at the very least 6-2 at that juncture. And I don't know if the wild card is going to be able to come out of the AFC North. I'm still not losing my hopes about the Steelers making the playoffs, but my prospects of them winning the division has drastically diminished simply because of Michael Vick. Even though Michael Vick, I still believe in him compared to at least 10 other quarterbacks, starting quarterbacks in the NFL. The fact of the matter is it's a huge, huge drop-off from Big Ben Roethlisberger to Michael Vick. Now, if you're the Steelers, you can get the running game going. Le'Veon Bell, D'Angelo Williams, the combo of the two. If you're an Antonio Brown, you can do some things in special teams, not just as a receiver. Also, there's a deep threat because we all know that Michael Vick has an arm. So he can make some things happen, plus he can make some things happen with his feet. That's why I'm not saying they're going to completely fall off the wagon, go 0-4, 1-3. But I just believe that you don't have Big Ben Roethlisberger there and then lose him, and suddenly you're not going to have a precipitous drop-off. That's where my mentality is right now, Skip. I still believe they will make the playoffs, but I have serious doubts as to whether or not they're going to be able to win the division crown, because I think by the time week 8, 9, and beyond comes up, and they play the Bengals that 5th game, which is when Ben Roethlisberger conceivably could come back, even though he could be gone for that week as well. I just believe that by that time, the Cincinnati Bengals will have built too big of an edge, and that's my concern.
Are you ready to crown the Bengals in the North?
No, I'm not.
No?
I don't trust them. I don't trust them. But they are the best. They are the best team right now. They are the best team. I got to look at their schedule, too. But I'm pretty close to that because I don't think the Ravens are coming back, and I don't know if the Steelers can win. It depends on how soon. Like, say, for example, I'll tell you this. I'll crown the Bengals AFC North champions if Big Ben Roethlisberger is going to be out for more than 4 weeks.
Okay.
Michael Vick needs to stay healthy, too. They need a backup for him.
No question. Absolutely. But of those 4 games, if all we're talking about is those 4 games, I still think the Steelers have an outside chance.
Okay, before I answer Molly's question, allow me to say that I picked the St. Louis Rams to win this game yesterday, and I was dead wrong. I bet on Foles gold. Not Fool's gold, but Foles gold. Because I bet on Nick Foles.
Hold on, Elizabeth, I'm coming to join you.
I know.
Is this Skip Bayless admitting? Is this Skip?
Yes.
Hold on, I remember him celebrating my elevated, knowledge about the game of football, and he said, "Now, if you could just get your picks right." Okay. And is this Skip admitting?
I always admit.
Wow.
I always admit. I haven't had to admit any this year.
I'm just touched.
So
really?
Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
So the point is that Foles gold was a bad pick by me, even though his QBR wasn't terrible yesterday. But the point was they had 10 chances to win that game, and they couldn't convert a 3rd down. They went 2 for 10 against the Steelers defense that I think has suddenly caught fire. Remember the debacle in the preseason against Buffalo when they got wiped off the map by the Buffalo Bills? It actually said more about here come the Bills than there go the Steelers defenders, because they played great yesterday. 2 for 10 on third down. It's at St. Louis. I know they don't draw very well, but the crowd they did have is you'd think it'd be in their corner. I guess it wasn't, and you lose 12-6, and you have 10 chances to pull that game out. Okay, now back to the question. I am not giving up on your Steelers. You're close. I'm not close. And it was heartwarming to me that there is one man and only one man who gave Michael Vick a job, because I don't think he'd be in football except for Mike Tomlin. Am I right about that?
Absolutely right.
Okay, so I love that, because I know we've been through all the dog stuff. I don't want to start in that. But I love what Michael Vick has made himself into as a man and a football player, even though he has taken a horrendous beating, as you keep pointing out what you're lying about.
That's right. Got hit in the ribs and grabbed his head.
Okay, because he's had head injuries right and left.
Right.
Okay, but if you give Mike Tomlin a few days, and obviously they're playing on a very short week, to try to install some things that Michael can still do at this advanced age with all of his cumulative injuries that he suffered, I think they're going to be okay. And I also believe that Ben Roethlisberger, remember his motorcycle accident, how fast he came back from that? I thought he just about, God rest his, it's like he almost left us that day, because that was close to being the end for him. And he bounced right back, and I thought it was going to be debilitating for him going forward, and he's as strong as ever. Well, you don't think he can come off an MCL sprain in 4 weeks, maybe 3? You might be surprised. They're probably saying 4 to 6 just to keep everybody at bay, but you don't think he could bounce back at least in 4 weeks?
I think things with the upper extremities, I have no doubt. With the lower extremities, it's a bit different, because you've got to worry. It's not so much about him just being well enough to play. It's about what you have to concern about in terms of what you expose him to. So if he's not 100%, why are you going to throw him out there in week 6, week 7? Now, if it was week 14, you're vying for a playoff spot and the season's on the line, you take your chances. But if you know you're going to need him for the stretch run, and at the worst case scenario is he'll be back for the entire second half of the season, are you going to want to risk that in order to rush him back early? That's where, to me, that's where Vick's performance over the next few games will define.
All right, but when I look at their schedule, can Michael Vick beat the Baltimore Ravens on Thursday night at home? I give him a shot.
I think so.
I give him a shot.
I believe the Steelers can win that game.
Again, you got not one, but you have 2 really good running backs. And you can figure out how to get Michael in situations that can benefit him, and some other ways to get the ball to Antonio Brown. Maybe you run reverses. Maybe you run slot handoff reverses. Little things you can do. Okay? So I look at, then they go to San Diego. The Chargers are a supreme disappointment to me, because so far they've beaten only one team when Phillip Rivers completed his last 20 passes. Guess who that was? The Detroit Lions. So we're going to talk about them later. But you know what we think about the Detroit Lions, right? Okay. So can Pittsburgh go win that game at San Diego? I give them a shot. Then they have to come home, face Arizona. Probably not. At Kansas City, probably not. But still, if you look at what's going to happen in this division, and it's hard to play down the schedule because it gets complex, the Ravens ain't dead yet. If you look all the way down their schedule, we don't have time to go game by game because it just blows your mind.
We'll revisit the AFC
But trust me, if you go down their schedule, you'll start saying, wait a second, they could win that one, then they could get on a roll and win that one and that one. They're still not, schedule-wise, they're not dead yet. While Cincinnati, at 3-0, looking like the world beater that they are, they have Kansas City and Seattle at home. Are you sure they're going to win both those games? Because I'm not.
They're definitely going to lose one of them.
All right. Okay,
they're definitely going to lose one of them.
Then they go to Buffalo. You give them, I'm going Buffalo all day on that game, because Buffalo is serious business on offense and defense.
Well, Tyrod Taylor has shot me.
He's been sensational. The only thing Buffalo has done wrong so far this year is they played Tom Brady at home. That's the only thing they've done wrong. Other than that, they're just wiping people up here. So, again, Can Cincinnati go up there and win? I don't think so. So they're going to start to drift back to the pack. Then they have to go to Pittsburgh after a bye week. Well, here you go. So all of a sudden this division will be up for grabs. Now, I'm with you. It might be difficult for a wild card team to come out of here. But somebody's going to come out of here, and I think that's still way up for grabs with just 3 games in the bank so far.
Okay. All right. I feel you on that. I'm just concerned about Michael Vick, particularly on the road. And not only that, his durability as well. You can't rely on it. I think that Michael Vick can still make plays. I think that he can still lead this team to victory so long as he's healthy. And by the way, protects the ball, because that was one of the things he didn't do yesterday either.
I know.
You know, so we got to watch out for that. He's got to do those 2 things: stay healthy and protect the ball. Don't turn the ball over. And I think if he's able to do that, that's fine. But when you bring up these teams, you know, obviously to a lesser degree the Ravens, because I think all they have is Steve Smith to throw the ball to. But you got Phillip Rivers back there flinging the ball in San Diego. I'm looking at the Chiefs. They are not a joke. Even though I don't expect their wide receivers to catch touchdown passes, it doesn't mean Kelsey and Macklin and the boys can't do some damage, you know, in Kansas City's passing game. And then, of course, there's Arizona, who is a team that none of us can sleep on. And we all know that the Steelers, even though their defense stepped up yesterday, their secondary is suspect. It's just that St. Louis's offense is suspect. And as a result of that, that's why the game ended up being the way that it was yesterday. So, again, the opponents you take into consideration, I get that point. But when I look at stout defenses that have the potential to get a little quarterback skip, I worry about Michael Vick. I worry about Michael Vick.
Short term, I don't, because I think Mike Tomlin will do everything in his power to prop him up and protect him and put him in a place that he can not only survive in, but maybe flourish a little bit.
But you keep mentioning Tomlin, and you're not mentioning Todd Haley enough, who for the most part gets to run that offense. And I don't trust Haley. I think Haley's innovative. I think he can make things happen. I think he's a good offensive coordinator, but sometimes he does the inexplicable, and sometimes it's to the detriment of his team.
We were both shocked when they signed Michael Vick to be elevated above a Landry Jones, who's a very poor man's Ben Roethlisberger, you know, the big kid, big strapping kid in the pocket. And we're saying, well, wait a second, how's Michael Vick going to run Ben's offense? Well, he can't. So now you're going to have to junk it. You're going to have to do night and day from Ben and hope you can survive, I think, for 4 weeks.
Good luck with it.
You know?
We're going to dive more into the AFC North a little later in the show. Eric Allen will join us for that. We'll also revisit the NFC East as well. So the Steelers, unfortunately, losing Big Ben, but are they done? That's the question of the day. Let us know if you think they'll make the playoffs by going to Twitter and replying yes or no to the hashtag losing Big Ben.